We're back with more of the Instigators, presented by Seneca Resorts and Casinos. Nothing else comes close.
All right, Instigators. Ralph Krueger going to join us. Coach Ralph Krueger, WGR 550. Andrew and Craig. Elliot Friedman at 11. And 11:30, we'll talk about a lot of stuff. Probably what our next guest is going to be talking about. Coach, are you there?
I'm there, Craig and Andrew. How are you?
Spilled my coffee last segment on my carpet, but other than that, I'm all right. It didn't faze me during the show, so that's good. Unrattleable, Coach.
That's good. Yeah,
put me in any pressure moment. I'll be there for you. How was the draft?
Yeah, it's always an interesting process. It's of course virtually like many things going on right now, something you need to adjust to. But I thought it went well, and it's a good group of players that we've been able to pick up here, and had some conversations with three of them. You know, Albert and Jacob, our late picks, were deep in sleep in Sweden and the Czech Republic, so I didn't speak to them. But the other three had good conversations, and it's always nice to add skill, talent, and a variety of players back into our group.
You know, when you go into an NHL draft, you have all these scouts that have put a tremendous amount of time and effort in scouting all these young players. For the head coach of the Buffalo Sabres, how much say do you have going into making a certain pick, like a Jack Quinn?
You definitely are not involved in those final decisions. There's been so much work done in preparation and a lot of analysis, and the order of selection is pretty well preset. And then what happens is where you like to influence the process is in advance to the type of game we want to play, and how we strategically want to approach the new season, what are tactical areas that we want to attack, and what are the skills needed to fulfill those, looking at the future of how Buffalo Sabres hockey wants to be. So that's where you have the opportunity, and with Kevin and the team, there was that opportunity. But the final decisions, you're watching, you're involved, but you're not involved in the actual decisions.
Sabres head coach Ralph Krueger joining the Instigators right now on WGR Sports Radio 550 with Craig and Andrew. What do you know about Jack Quinn?
Yeah, I know Jack Quinn quite well because he was playing with Marco Rossi, who's somebody whose father actually played for me, the Austrian player that was picked one later. And Jack and how he developed, and his scoring touch and his drive, his personality, his character, all the different aspects of Jack, and the multi-sport athlete that he was. And, people are calling him a bit of a late bloomer, but quite clearly one of, if not the most lethal scorer in the draft this year. And it was nice to get him, as the 8th overall pick. And my first conversation with Jack was very natural, very easy. He feels like a pro already, and I know he's lethal and has a natural scoring instinct, which is one of the hardest things to ever coach anybody. We actually can't coach that, and you, Craig and Andrew, both know that's something that a player brings with him, and we coaches can work on a lot of other things. So excited to be working with Jack in the future.
Yes, I do know how hard it is to score goals at this level, Coach.
Yeah.
Coach, was there a certain type of player throughout the draft, something that was a constant in all of the players that you drafted? Was there a certain something that gravitated you guys towards all of the picks that you made yesterday?
Well, we were quite confident that those were the best players available at that slot. So if you look at the 34th pick and JJ Peterka, who I'm familiar with from his time in Germany, and also, Munich being a team that I know quite well. And, he was, for us, and all the effort and all the work and all the analysis that was done, the best possible player available. So it's less specific to the needs, but in the subconscious, the needs of the Sabres would have been an influence on how we then ordered put the players in the different order and the ranking. And so it's generally the best player available according to our analysis, and that's how it happened. So there wouldn't really be a trend as far as this kind of player, but obviously the modern game asks for you to be fleet of foot. You need to be a good skater. We're always looking for players that have good base hockey sense, and above all, you want good character. The analysis of the character is becoming more and more important as the game evolves. People are digging deeper. The interviews that players do in advance of the draft become more and more important for their status within the scouting ranks. So it's there's so many factors that come together, and I just feel confident we did a good job with the selections that we had.
You must be pleased with the opportunity to draft a former Buffalo Junior Sabres player, Matteo Costantini, someone who's grown up here and been through the Junior Sabres ranks and developed himself. He's going to be quite a player for the Sabres. There's no question.
Yeah, no, I spoke with Matteo. He's up in Penticton in British Columbia, where also my son had played many years ago, and I'm familiar with that club. And we had a wonderful conversation. He was just bubbling and on cloud nine, and so excited to have been drafted. But also, Mike Bales had already, our goalie coach, whose son plays with the Buffalo Sabres, had been speaking to us. With the Junior Sabres, had been speaking to us about Matteo in the past, and he definitely earned it. He's paid a price. He's worked hard, and it's excellent to have somebody from within be selected in the 5th round. And boy, was he excited on the phone! It was a lot of fun chatting with him. He hadn't spoken to his parents yet when I talked to him, so that was his next call. But that is one motivated kid right now.
Yeah. So. Right now, if you're listening, Ralph Krueger joining the Instigators on WGR 550. Just 1 second, Coach. I need to hold my partner accountable here, and then I'll get back to my question. Craig, if a kid from North Bay was drafted in the NHL or by the Sabres, I would mention, if I were mentioning the player, I would say he's from North Bay. Matteo Costantini is a St. Catharines boy, by the way. He's from my hometown, just so you know. Shout out to the St. Catharines boy. Shame on you, Craig. Now, Coach, question for you. When you see a player like Jack Quinn drafted, I'm trying to ask you the question from the mindset of the coach, because I'd never be able to figure this out. And you might be speaking for all the coaches that draft early on in the draft. How soon in advance do you have are you just kind of thinking when you hear the pick, you're like, okay, so like in a couple or few years or whenever you think the player might be ready, you could see you're piecing him together with maybe prospects that you already have or players that you already have. Or stop me if I'm going way too far down the road.
Yeah. Let's take the example of Dylan Cozens last year coming in as our first selection. We treated him as somebody who could potentially play for us immediately. That's how you go into training camp. You try to, you have 50 plus players there. Evaluate them. Clearly, we have players that are going to be in the lead of where we're going. But there's always the depths, and there's always what is best for the evolution of the players. And with Dylan, really quickly, it was evident that going back to junior was the right solution for him. Now, with Jack, who knows? I mean, he's going to come to us at a later date than Dylan did. Dylan would have reported to camp in September. We all know that it looks like the earliest start now will be somewhere in December. So he's already got 3-4 months more training and physical growth to him. I think this season will be different because of that those extra months. let's see how he comes into camp, and then as a group, with Kevin Adams and the management team and the coaches, you will make a decision for the player to develop him to see what's best for him. But in the future, it's clear that Jack is the type of player who will be with a playmaking center. People will sit here and go, is that, who is that center? Well, it's hard to say. If he makes the team this year, it would be different than possibly in 2 years. So it's more the role that he would take in the team, where he would fit into a power play structure that we have, and less possibly with the individual center that he would play with. But clearly, Jack has a personality. We've tracked him to be a player that also likes to play the complete game. He works hard without the puck, seems to have good hockey sense that way too, which also, is exciting in a goal scorer. So we'll see how it goes. A bit of a gray zone answer for you guys, but I think what you want to do when the guy comes to camp is give him a chance, and let's see what happens. No two players are ever the same in their pathway to success.
To stay on the topic of Dylan Cozens, quite the buzz around this young man playing in the Western Hockey League last year. I think that we could all agree that extra year in junior has really propelled him, his game, his growth physically and mentally. Looking forward, if he were to come and make the team, are you looking at having him play center for this team, or would he be moving in as maybe a winger to start his NHL career?
Yeah, I mean, we're really lining up here to potentially have in our top 12 forwards 6 players that can play center. It's really the ideal goal that I've always had as a coach, that you have more, that you're deeper in centermen, which is something we didn't have a lot of times last year. And I think that what that does is the center can automatically, many of them can play very good on the wing. And the way our system works and the interchanging of positions within the game, it's more the role that you have. I'll give the fans an example that are listening right now. Logically, the first forward back with the defenseman, he just plays that role of being the first back and will drop in deep into our end and has to have the capability. And for us in our game, so that we can stay active, keep pressure offensively and defensively, we like players to interchange, and that's where Dylan could easily begin on the wing on in a top 6 role, or he we might feel comfortable, depending on how we're developing, for him to take a role in as a centerman. But it will be will be connected with how our other pieces fall together, and then how he shows up in camp and the confidence he has. But I think the integration into the National Hockey League for a player with that exciting skill set is easier if he played with an experienced centerman initially, and then we transition him into the role as center, which we see him eventually taking. But again, it's nothing is set in stone. But if I was a betting man, I could see Dylan starting off on the wing.
Well, you don't number your lines, and based off what you say, I guess my question would be: do you give that freedom to all four lines, not 1 through 4, but from your Eichel line to your Lazar line? Like, is that system the same? Because when I played, and I'm not trying to be self-deprecating here, I'm just being honest with the time that I played, and it was, if you're first guy back, you switch with the centerman the first chance you get. I mean, like, there really wasn't much trust there, which kind of hurt the confidence a little bit. But still, I mean, do you have to trust all your players? You have to trust all your players to do that. I mean, come on. I mean, you're asking them to play down low in the defensive zone, which is not an easy place to be, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, we were just communicating with the coaches here this morning. We as we have through the whole time that we have regular meetings virtually with the coaching staff about different topics. And I was joking with Steve Smith today about him pretty well never crossing even, going much in beyond the offensive blue line for his 18-year NHL career, And now if you watch in the playoffs and you look at the game we want to play, we give the offside defenseman the green light to get involved and go in the attack. And he could easily end up as the first man back. And on the way home, if if we lose possession, it could be 2 forwards and a D-man taking the responsibility all the way back into our end. And that's the beauty of the game today. Defensemen get involved in the offense. Forwards have to take more responsibility in the defense. And the parts are all interchangeable. That's our, everybody, all our fans know our concept is playing connected. And playing connected means take the role that you have at that time and take responsibility for it offensively, defensively. We like all 5 guys being involved. So it's a multi-positional game today. And the teams that can do this better, everybody is so well structured defensively that if you don't accelerate into the offense altogether really quickly, you will lose that opportunity. You've got a couple of seconds where the other team is not set up. Once they're set up, we saw that in the playoffs too. It's so hard to create offense 5-on-5. And the same is defensively. The quicker you can get back into position, you can't be doing what you said, waiting for the center to come back and you as the winger try to hang.
Where the hell's Mearsy?
I got my D-man. I got my job. And you're still at the other. You're at the other team's net covering your D-man, and it's
like the movie Cliffhanger. I can only hold on for so much longer. The glove is going to give out at some point.
Yeah,
that's my analogy. Playing down low.
Yeah, but it is truly, and that's why the example of Dylan again. If he spends 20 games on the wing, it'll be good for him, and he'll get some center ice time for sure. But more than anything, let's all be really excited. Like you started that conversation by saying how he developed in the last 12. Now it's almost 15 months since we had him in our hands here. It's really exciting, and we're looking forward to him as a person, as a player. He's got a nice, low, strong skating stance, which is important in the game today. And he will be a good one for us.
Coach, I don't know if we're way over our time limit with you. I mean, there's so many more questions. We weren't really given a time limit, but I mean, it's the old give an inch, take a mile type scenario for me here. But can I ask you one more question just about Rasmus Dahlin and what kind of strides with this time off and growth and everything that he's made over the last couple of years that you're looking forward to seeing out of him this year, whenever this year starts?
Well, yeah, that's a good conversation. As our fans know, I'm back in Buffalo now, but the time I've been in Europe, I've actually been able to watch hockey games over there. They actually are playing in multiple leagues already, and that's one of the advantages of our European players is that they're skating with teams that are in a complete in-season mode. So the practices of high intensity, the scrimmages of high intensity. So for Dahls and others in Europe, it's actually a good place for them to be while we wait to activate here. And Rasmus has worked so hard. We, led by Ed Gannon and JTR Fitness guys, they've been in constant conversations with them, working on building their strengths but adding to the weaknesses. And I'm convinced that Dahls will come out of this break with a lot more strength, especially lower body. He's worked so hard here in this extended off season, but he's also had a lot of time on the ice to continue to hone his skills, which are elite in the National Hockey League. And as everybody listening to this call that loves hockey, we at the front here are with the players together, the coaches, just so hungry to get this going. And I'm sure once we can get activated and we get the green light, players like Rasmus will come back at a higher level, will come back at a higher fitness, higher strength, and we'll be able to continue their growth patterns here in the National Hockey League. So it's a lot of fun to speak to you, Craig and Andrew, about the Sabres. It's a lot of fun to speak to you about hockey, and hopefully we'll be speaking and analyzing games in the near future here.
Well, we appreciate your time. I just need to quickly mention that the Instigators director of scouting told us that there's a Justin Krueger playing over in Germany. Any relation?
Actually, Justin plays in Lausanne now. My son.
Well, there you go. See, we need to fire our director of scouting.
Yeah, your director of scouting. He was with the German national team for 7 years, so that is where the mix-up is. But my son has been, after his time at Cornell University, went over and has been playing as a pro in Switzerland, and he's in Lausanne right now in the south. And I actually watched his first 2 games live. I was in the building, and it was it works. People are wearing masks. They're at 60% occupancy in the Swiss league, and thus far it's working and it's going well. And hopefully that's a positive signal for what could happen here in the near future. And they're hoping to get back to full capacity into the new year here, so it is functioning over there, and that was at least good to be able to see some hockey games live.
The benefits of technology. Thank you for your time, Coach. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Good. Take care, Craig. Take care, Andrew, and to all the Sabres fans out there, stay hungry. And we look forward to playing in front of you in the near future. Really, really excited to be doing that again soon.
Same here. All right, Ralph Krueger, kind enough to join us here on the Instigators. We'll be right back. We'll break it all down, WGR 550.